Open up the Bifrost. Come on, open up the Bifrost. Oh, we're on. I'm sorry. Experimenting with my mule there. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ricans. I'm Mo,
I'm Lou.
and we are back for another fun-filled adventure of nerdism as it comes.
Oh,
And
yes.
today we have some nerd bochinche for you guys. First off, I want to open up with the news, and I'm pretty sure everybody's buzzing about it, with the return of RDJ to the Marvel Universe. Yes, the comic book gods have heard us and have answered. Now the question is, how? I mean, there's just so many possibilities on this that I'm still drooling with the ideas of what could come up from it.
Rumor has it he will be in two movies. One, not certain the two roles he'll play. One, they're thinking about letting him be the hologram that he played in the last Spider-Man movie, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is that he'll return, but it'll be from a different reality.
That sounds like fun, but for me, it's like I want to see him in Secret Wars. I
That's
really do.
that's the plan. The Secret Invasion. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
That's
plan.
that's a good plan. I mean, just think about it. You're like,
And that went from being a series. They were gonna put it out as a series on Disney to becoming a movie because it became so expensive.
hmm.
So yeah,
I know. I've been hearing all the threads, and in my own thoughts, it's like, yeah, I want to see him in Secret Wars, but the talks I've heard is like one, for instance, like he's back. Some people want the original Iron Man character back, but others are saying no. I mean, that's a catch-22 for me because I would like to see the original Iron Man back, and I know in the comic books they've done that. God knows so many times.
yes,
But when you're bringing it to the cinematic universe, it's a whole nother animal in itself because for audiences not like us that know the history, of Iron Man, or of all the different routes that they went through in, the character, disappearing, whether it was an alcohol binge to the point where he downloaded his entire consciousness onto a hard drive in the event of his death, and then came back and then had it re-downloaded back into him. So it's like, wow, it's like there's so many plots and twists in which to choose from. But some people are saying no, and some people are saying yes. I'm good for a yes. I mean, I don't really care if it's the original or if they come with a variant, because now that you've opened the door to the multiverse, like we talked about before, you open the multiverse, there are just so many ways you can go with this.
if it's
So
written
many.
correctly. If it's written correctly.
I like to think it's gonna be, because since and I hate to say it, the lackluster uh two cinemas didn't do so well.
Nope.
You really want to take your time, as like the Disney CEO said, want to produce good quality stuff, like it was when the first 10 years of Marvel, in which they led up to Infinity War and then Endgame. I mean, I was from the first Avengers, when I saw that end credit and they showed Thanos, I was like, Infinity War. That's the
Yes.
first thing that popped in my brain. I was excited like none other, and I would rush to see each and every film leading up to Infinity War. Now and you want to recapture that again. I get that, because again, the last two were kind of lackluster. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great. They weren't at least worthy of that attention, and the numbers showed it. So it's not like there's not an audience to go see it. It's that the audience sees it and just goes, you don't
Here's
want
a
that.
here's another buzzworthy news that I heard.
Go ahead.
Uh, Last night I was looking online. They're saying that Doctor Strange probably set up Tony Stark to die in that end of the snap, and it makes sense because in his
Does
he saw billions and billions of alternate realities, and in one of them
12
he saw
billion.
that Tony Stark, yeah, and in one of them Tony Stark was uh, basically going to become evil, and that is why he set up Tony Stark to die. They saying at that particular moment.
Yeah, because I heard rumors in the Multiverse of Madness they were supposed to bring Tom Cruise to play the character of Iron Man because he was, of course, the first considered actor before RDJ, and he
Right.
was going to come back as Superior Iron Man from
Mm.
from that dimension. I was like, ooh, Superior Iron Man. I mean, I was already foaming. I was waiting for it, and I was like, it didn't happen. But they could still use RDJ to come back if he's going to be a villain, Superior Iron Man, which at some point they can always turn it around, just like any plot line is, and turn it around, and then he becomes, the Avenger that he was from the first character that died.
Yeah.
So it's all like you said. It's all about the writing. It's just like, as I said, you once you have me, I'm good. It's like the story has to be spectacular, and I'm really, like I said, crossing my fingers because yeah, you're bringing back the OG. That's what I'm hearing. You know, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson. Thank you, gods. I mean, all of this coming back because some people say, oh, because Disney's not doing so well, so they need back the OG. But here's the thing, and you and I can agree with this. Throughout the whole Marvel history of the Avengers, those OGs have always been there, whether they stayed with the regular Avengers, West Coast Avengers, and or come back to the Avengers or Cosmic Avengers. Every iteration they ever had, you will always find somewhere a Captain America, an Iron Man, yes, a Thor, Black Widow, the Hulk, in some fashion or another, whether he's just a guest star or just on his own as always. But you always have those main characters, so it's been true throughout the comics for so many years. And as comic book readers, we can't really look at the cinema and just go, okay, that sucks. No, you can say yay, because you're bringing back the OG, and you could continue from there. Yeah, you want to develop all the other characters in phase 5 and 6 and bring them up, but at the same time you don't want to forget the core.
Yeah.
I mean, you could reboot the core. I mean, again, multiverse. You don't have to. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't want any other actor to play, Tony Stark, because quite frankly, when I look at Robert Downey Jr., it's like dead on, period. But I'm not saying that there's no other actor out there that can play that part. Just like you look at Hugh Jackman and Wolverine and Deadpool. Yeah, they're going to be a variant, like we talked about before with Henry Cavill, but that was just in the event Henry Cavill was to come in. What characters could he play? But in the long run, you want to bring Wolverine back, but which actor? I mean, everybody's, I'm not going to say I'm maybe one of them as well and say, yes, I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but I will give another actor a shot at it as
Radcliffe.
long as he does it justice.
Radcliffe, the kid from Harry Potter.
Or
He would be great.
him, and I'm trying to remember, is this Eckerson from Kingsman, that actor that played Kingsman?
Yes.
He did a fantastic job in the stunts and the fight coordination for Robin Hood. And I was like, I was like taking into account because he's a good actor. I've seen some of his stuff already, and then I'm looking at Robin Hood. I'm like going, well, physically he can do it as well, and they're both the right height as far as the physical characteristics of what we know to be Wolverine. I mean, yeah, like I said, Jackman killed it, and forget about the stats or whatever. Once he took over, that was it.
Well,
That was it.
whoever did the casting for the Marvel movies,
Mm-hmm.
they did a fantastic job because
Oh yeah.
Thor looked Thor.
Yes.
Iron Man again looked like Iron Man. The Hulk, it was an iffy, but he grew on you.
Yeah, because at first, you had that one with Edward Norton,
Yeah.
and okay, I can't. Again, out of most of the Hulk films, the standalone Hulk films, I prefer that one over the first one any
Oh,
day.
any day.
Any day. But I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Brandon Maga. I mean, he's a good actor in other films, but as far as this one was concerned, Ang Lee, no, no, that just didn't. It didn't sell me. It didn't capture me that way, and they made an exaggeration of the character in itself. So, but in Edward Norton's version of the Incredible Hulk, he even kept the theme. And I remember that scene when he first transformed and then he left Brazil and he's traveling on his way back to the U.S., you hear the song from the Bill Bixby series.
Hmm. Yeah.
Na, 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 na. And I'm like, I was waiting for him to have like the little satchel, start, thumbing up for a hitchhike ride. But they kept that theme. They kept that theme there, and it really kind of paid homage to Bill Bixby's version of the Hulk. And then this one here, they kind of kept the idea of him getting stronger doesn't mean he grows bigger. He just gets stronger when he's mad. He's
Yes.
proven that. And so, and they kept the science in there so that way you understand that that transformation was based on an accident. And yes, Thaddeus Ross trying to get the hidden secrets and take that so that he can weaponize it for the army. I mean, it was a well conduced story, which was very. It's kind of like looking at it and you're reading a comic book. Of course, after the fact, with the things that happen with Ed Norton and Marvel, you were like left with, okay, then who's going to play him? And then when Mark Ruffalo came on, you went, hmm. You just go, at first, but then after watching the Avengers film, I was like, okay, he did it. He he
Is
he, get, he did it justice. It didn't go over the top. They still kept within the whole the whole theme of the Hulk itself, and matter he gets, stronger he gets, but he's got the childlike mentality. And I'm like, wow, okay, good. And I love that even though he was more of a supporting character throughout the series from Avengers Age of Ultron, from there to be on Thor Ragnarok, and then from Infinity War and then Endgame. It was a whole development. He went from Hulk that was not so smart to when he got to Ragnarok, he sounds like an 8-year-old talking. And then from there, after the first Infinity War, the whole idea of bringing Banner's mind into the Hulk's body. And I'm like, I'm liking this. I'm really liking how they did not stray from it. And Ruffalo did an incredible job, doing Banner. I mean,
what,
I
what was
can't
the other
say
guy's
much.
name?
Huh?
What was the other
Mark
guy that did that?
Ruffalo.
No, the other one,
Oh, that's Ed Norton.
Ed Norton. So first question to our viewers: which Hulk would be better? Which Hulk do you think is better, the Ruffalo version or
Ed Norton's
Norton
version.
Ed
Yep.
Norton's version? That's a very interesting take because, yeah, I want to see
Yeah.
what people think. They
Yeah.
were
We'd
both
like to
great.
know. Share
Both
us your
great.
thoughts.
Both were great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now for other news, I have been trying to keep watch of what we discussed at one point about the Mandalorian, because at first it was a little confusion. Is there going to be a
Yes.
season 4 or there's going to be a film? Now, from my research, there was first the hint of a season 4, but yes, then I note that there was online that stated that it's going to go into a production film with Mandalorian and Grogu, and
For
they're
tw-
supposed to start filming in June for this
and
film,
the air date would be 2026.
which then turned me over to watching the trailer for the Acolytes, and I was like, oh, it's like it's interesting because I heard one person online was talking about that the franchise is ruined and they have to bring it back. Okay, no franchise is ever perfect. Yeah, you're gonna
Right.
have sometimes your lackluster film in the series of every franchise has it. But the fact that I love that it's no longer regaled to just the movies alone. Now you have a whole verse opening up. The Bad Batch, The Acolytes, The Mandalorian. I mean,
The ba-
it's opening the door more and more. I mean, it started with Rogue One, and when it opened up Rogue One, I was like blown away. Loved it. Can watch it 1,000 times and never get tired of it. And what was the other one? Oh yes, when I think it's Star Wars Rebel, or I could be wrong with the title, but I know it was showing how the resistance was first formed. And again, it was dealing with a character who was already in Rogue One, though he died in the movie, but he came back, and now they're showing his origins and how this whole Rebel Alliance started in the first place. And I'm loving it because there's always a story to something. It's like you opened it up with a rebel, the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire. I mean, yeah, for some of us in the background, it's like, well, how did this all happen? And bang, now that the doors are open to try and touch other things, yeah, there he is, Mando and Grogu. Oh man, I can't wait to see that pair ever again. But going
Yes.
back to what I was saying, you go back to that and then you see how everything started, and then you get that whole ideology of, okay, I get it now, I get it why they were, I mean, they're freedom fighters, of course, but with every freedom there's money involved, there's an economics that have to come with fighting for freedom, and
Hmm.
they showed it there what they did in order to make that happen. And it's great storytelling because you want some background, some origin story to build up to now what you're seeing. I mean, it's not just Jedi, you know. Of course, this one, the Acolytes, it is a Jedi story, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's not really, with the exception of Grogu, there's not really a solid Jedi story. I mean, yeah, you have what is her name again? Oh my God, Rosario Dawson, and she's doing Ahsoka, but her story, I mean, went from the animation to the show, and it's still continuing from that. So that's already built. Now you have a story where Jedi's are being assassinated, and you're like, wait, where did that happen? I mean, I thought after Order 66 they were all assassinated, but no.
Mm-mm.
Now we're going further back, and it's like, wait, there's a secret society trying to assassinate them. So again, hmm,
So here,
now you're feeding a story to me that I'm like, okay, why is this happening?
so Mo, in Ahsoka, what do you think about the casting? Like,
I
I
did like
wasn't
some.
too crazy about Ahsoka, about Rosario Dawson.
Hmm?
Mm,
I liked her, especially in her first appearance in the Mandalorian when she first appeared, and I was like, "What?" And following, what she's done at this point, I mean, me personally, I do love Rosario Dawson. I loved her work.
I love her,
I
but
love her work,
I don't think
and
she could have played that
this
character.
was something different. I mean, she did bring to me the character to life, and there's still more to me. There's still more left to go because they delved in as far as her show was concerned, the history between her and Anakin. But
Yes, I love that.
I think there's still more, and I think probably by season two, hopefully they'll be exploring that some more because yeah, she's a Jedi warrior. Yeah, okay, great. She's not actually part of any particular order. She's like, how could I say, and I won't say an anti-hero, but she's a Jedi of herself. Yes,
I
she knows Luke, but that's it. It's not like she's ready to jump into the order and start teaching. I mean, she had her Padawan with her, but that's it. There's nothing. There's really nothing more. So I'm hoping season two would open the door to actually more story, especially with her.
I think the supporting characters, they matched them well.
Mm-hmm.
Sabine was Sabine. I liked her.
Yes.
The green one, what's her? The green chick with the long. Oh, what was her name? Which I didn't know. The actress is actually married to the guy that played Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan
Mm.
McGregor. Yeah, that's his wife. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, man.
I did not know that.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
See,
man.
little bits always help. You never know,
Yeah.
like as
Now
far
we
as the
know.
background is concerned.
Now we know where that lightsaber goes. Um,
Yes, it does. But again, it's like I think one of the fact that Admiral Thawne, the character of Admiral Thawne, I was like, wow. I
yes,
think it was so accurate from
yes.
the anime to to the live, and it's like his war strategy. I was like, ooh. I'm like, okay, I want more of this guy. I mean, he already disappeared. So to me, it's like he's a huge question mark as to when he's coming back, or are they go? I mean, they're going to go after him. I mean, because he's smart, smarter than most. He's not taking anything for granted,
He's a
especially when it
strategist.
comes to Jedi. And
He's a
that becomes
strategist.
very, very, very dangerous individual when you have someone like that. So the question then becomes, what happened to him?
Yes.
And that hopefully season two will open the door hugely to that, and just hopefully bring about the new order. Because remember, we jumped from Return of the Jedi, then it's beginning again, and now instead of the Empire, you have the New Order. Where did they came from? How
Yeah,
did it all start? So I'm hoping that these little stories from Ahsoka, Mandalorian, even well, I don't know if the Acolyte dates to that time. It might date further back, but those that are that are more closer to the current
the
after the
acolytes
fall of the
go
Empire.
the acolytes go further back.
So like okay, so the Mandalorian and Ahsoka fall right under the fall of the Empire. So at that point, right then and there, that whole story of how the New Order came about,
Because
that's where that
I'm
story lies for me.
I'm hearing the lightsabers are not like the way they are now. They're the prequels, the lightsabers that came before. So it has to take place before uh the Phantom Menace, I'm assuming.
Hmm, there's a
Yeah,
thought. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Now, okay, Hayden Christensen, because I had mentioned that with the whole storyline. I mean, when I saw him in Ahsoka, I was like, damn, that boy hasn't changed or aged. I mean, slightly, but not even that much.
right.
Now, the thing is that they brought, I mean, he's like the in between, or is, I mean, I know he's a Force ghost at this point, but the question is, how much of a Force ghost? Because we already know from like, was it the Return of Skywalker that both both Luke and and Yoda can be more can not only just project but also be more physical in their projections
Yes.
in the real world. I mean, they're not death and they're not ghosts, but the Force still allows them to be able to channel the Force and use it as they see fit at that moment. So it was interesting seeing Anakin. So what does that mean? It's like, yeah, she had her moment and she had to get past him. You know, it's like that fear that she had because of what happened with Anakin becoming Darth, becoming Vader. And then that lingers in her mind, especially when he came to her Padawan at first, but then she manages to get past it, you know, and again, another development because she did suffer defeat at the hands of one of the combatants, the Sith combatants, but again, she came out of it. Now they were at a standstill between the two, so and they were left on that planet. So the question of those two characters coming back, you know, I'm eager to see how they're going to come back and play an integral part of what the story is going to go to moving forward. That is going to be very interesting. You know, it, it's all I mean, like I always said, it's all about the storytelling. You know, you tell a good story, you get me interested, you have me following, you know, a protagonist, and I go, okay, I relate with him, I love what he does, okay, or I hate what he does. Now you got me. It's like, if you got me to follow that story, then I'm in. But if you get me to go, okay, when's he actually going to start? You know, like, hey,
Mhm.
ready? You know, come on, let's get this over with. That's what I'm saying. Okay, oh, there's something missing because you're not getting me to be involved that way when it comes to the story.
Yeah.
And I think the next character involved, okay, Ray Stevenson, Balin Skull. That's the character that she had lost to in the battle. And I was like, wow, the beard and everything. I was like, damn,
Yeah,
I've
but
never
I
seen this
mean,
character before.
there won't be another one with him.
No, there won't be another
Unfortunately,
one with him, but he's a badass by himself.
yeah, but unfortunately he died, you know,
When
in
was
real
this?
life. In real life.
The actor himself. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, that falls again, like with the Mandalorian. I can see why it's going to film because again, you lost Carl Weathers. You know, rest in peace. So now you have to change the arc a bit and now just keep the focus between Mando and Grogu.
Yeah, but that's been in the works since before Carl Weathers died. The decision to make it either another series or a movie,
Hmm.
which readers, there he goes. That's the man. It
That's
would have
the
been
man.
nice. It would have been nice to see him. You
Yeah.
know what though? If man, if he was still alive and they ever did a live action Gargoyles, he would be
Mm.
great as the what was his name? The one that
The main
hunted them.
gargoyle.
No, the one that hunted them down.
Oh,
Like Sean Connery character. remember the gargoyles? There was a character that talked like Sean Connery. I forgot his name right now, but yeah,
It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
pretty sure if anyone out there knows, just shoot a message to us. You
yeah.
know,
He would have been great to play that live action role. Yeah.
another and wait. Now that something just came to my head, another one. And what was that story again? Oh yeah. Excuse me. Now that, and I'm reading this, now that Godzilla has become such a success. I mean, the box office numbers are so high. I mean, the question is, who's going to be the next character? Who's going to be the next one to take on the G-Man himself? That I'm looking forward to.
I'm just mad they made Kong such a little wuss. I
Well,
hate that.
he wasn't a total wuss. I mean, when he had his bionic hand, he kind of laid the smackdown on Godzilla at one point without even knowing it. I mean, he knocked him out for a little bit, and he was walking away. But you kind of forget, you can't leave that boy sleeping and just forget about him, because when he woke up, he was extremely pissed,
Yes.
to say the least. But yeah, and again, I can't wait because there's talks of Destroyer as either being the next, or if not Destroyer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Space Godzilla, and that's going to be something else to watch. Space Godzilla or Destroyer? Which one is it going to be? I mean, each one of them has, as far as a solo film with Godzilla, each one of them have something, how can I say, terrifying, but at the same time, a challenge for Godzilla. Especially in his newest form, which is going to be very interesting to see going up against these more heavy hitters, against the King of the Monsters.
I personally cannot wait for Monarch, especially with that end
season
credit.
2.
Yes, because they showed Kong at that end credit.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like, and this is around the time with King of the Monsters near Ghidorah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there was always that discussion about when Ghidorah was trying to call out all the monsters outward. What happened? What happened to Kong? Did he give him did Kong give him the finger, or what? I was like, I would like to see.
That would have been interesting.
Oh, and with that, the Mighty Millionaire will now swing us and open the portal to a commercial. And we'll be right back with more Nerdoricans.
And another question. Welcome back.
And
welcome back to Nerdoricans. I'm Lou.
I'm getting dizzy. I'm sorry.
That's Dizzy Mo.
What's up? Sorry about that. My head was swinging around. So yeah, we're back, and I think you had a question or a thought that you were to bring up before the commercial break.
It was a quick question about the Mandalorian. Would the viewers like to see a movie or continue with a series?
I, for one.
Which one, Mo? What would you think?
I, for one, actually want to see this another series, only because how season 3 left off with, as far as the other Mandalorians are concerned.
Well, they retired in Puerto Rico.
Mandalore, and then it ended with the 2, and again him and Grogu, and they're just pretty much bounty hunters for hire.
Yeah.
But what happened to the people on Mandalore? Because they recaptured Mandalore, so like a little bit back and forth, like say if it was like maybe 2 years later, and he's picking up another bounty. Start off with the same thing he did in the first one. I could bring you in cold, or I could bring you in warm.
Yeah.
And this one, and that is when, I could see, okay, they're still doing their thing, and then now there's Mandalore, and now like more and more showing up, and now the
Yeah.
planet is becoming thriving again. So you know
I'm
what,
gonna.
but what kind of thriving? Because they were kind of hinting on not being warriors or bounty hunters, but something else. And that's the question in my mind when I left was like, what's that something else?
Well, I think that like someone mentioned before, that a series would be better because it's more than 2 hours. Where a movie is only going to be a maximum of an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 45.
Right. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the series, you have more to tell, and you could do it episodically. But in a movie, you have to compress everything in exactly that 2 hour span. Like the first Iron Man movie, they compacted at least a good 20 years of Iron Man in 2 hours. Bang, just like that.
I don't know about you, but that makes viewers hungry to see more.
True, and
Because
it's not like they don't have a lot of stories to tell.
after the first season, people were crazy to see another one.
Yeah, I know. I
Mm.
was one of those
Yeah,
Mandalorian
man. Yeah,
crackheads standing there like, "Give me another
yeah,
hit! I need
yeah.
another hit!" I'm
Exactly,
telling you, when
exactly.
season 2 came, boy, you couldn't keep me from that screen. I was like, what? And again, I think was it season 2? Yeah, or the episode when he went off to be with Skywalker for a little bit. He was off with Skywalker and he's learning the ways of the Force. But you could tell that that
That
little
was
guy
in the
it's got his heart set to be with his daddy because it's kind of like Mando's been his father figure.
that was in the Boba Fett series. Yeah.
It's like, but he was his father figure, and he's like he wants to go back. It's like he wants to, it's like the call to be a Jedi is not there anymore, but the call to be a Mandalorian, or maybe even the best of both worlds, because it's not the first time that a Jedi has become a Mandalorian, so
Mhm.
he would be the second. But he wanted to be, with Mando. I mean, again, it's kind of like his dad, especially when they had that reunion in Boba Fett. He was like leapt up and grabbed right, jumped into his arms. I was like, oh, I kind of had like, oh, that's a Missy Eye moment right there. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. It was really good,
I,
and
I,
I'm looking forward to seeing what more they have in store, especially when it comes
I
to the
like the
movie.
end. It looked like they retired somewhere in Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And how
fishing. The other one sitting around force
how
protecting
is
stuff.
Mando getting a suntan through that suit? I mean, I don't understand that.
I don't know. And now that he's re how do you call it, reinstituted his oath, he can't take the damn mask off.
Exactly.
Yo,
But then
like
again,
what?
who's gonna tell? I mean, really.
Really? It's like that's what I said. It's like, why would you? It's like, okay, you want to keep your identity?
Yeah.
You put that on 24 hours a day, you're gonna lose your hair, bro. You're gonna go bald. There's no
Exactly.
sunlight.
Exactly.
You need that vitamin D, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna cook under the sun if you keep that thing on. That's for sure. I'm serious. It's like, oh no, 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 no. You'll come out tan, but a different way. You're gonna come out. They're gonna have to baste you and then put you back into the armor all over again.
Yeah. And
Oh man. Oh, another thing that I definitely wanted to talk about during last week, I had the pleasure checking out with my Star Trek group the first 2 episodes of the final season of Discovery, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be a heart wrenching ending for this show, but I have to admit, it's the one show that has reignited, the imagination, the whole idea of, what's out there, how do we solve a problem, the exploration of ourselves through understanding other species. Uh, and it opened the door because we didn't have anything with the exception of the movies, but then for television it'd been like almost 15, maybe 20 years before Trek, I mean before Discovery came out. And then it dated back to the point before Kirk and Spock, and then it went from Kirk and Spock's era of the 22nd going into the 23rd century, and then leapfrogging to the 31st century, 900 years forward to a devastated Federation. Devastated. It was like the Federation past had about 200 ships or more in
Well,
exploration.
here's another question then. Would you like to see Discovery as, since this is the last season, a movie?
Hmm.
That I think I would. I think I
That
would.
would be an awesome transition. Is if like they did with the Next Generation and the original series cast, that they come back and as an ensemble do a film. It's not like the story has ended. I mean, there's been talks that what you call it, Sonequa Martin Green's character might have a spin-off from Discovery.
Mm,
But again, it's talk because I know that one of the other, Mary Wiseman, who's back on the ship for temporary, she's taking a posting as an instructor for Starfleet Academy, and that's a spinoff that's definitely in the works. That's going to happen, and she's heading that spinoff, which is Starfleet Academy.
yeah, but now, do you think, hmm, like, is the new series that you mentioned, is it gonna take place during Picard's time?
No,
Oh,
no,
it's not.
no. Mary Wiseman, she's on the Discovery, so it's still in the 31st century. So her character Tilly is in Starfleet Academy because remember, again, Federation was devastated. Only a handful of ships, maybe 25 or 30 ships survived
Right.
what they call the burn. So, thanks to the Discovery, they were able to find out what happened, fix it, and then start again and start opening the door to the worlds and recreating the Federation. But in
Okay.
order to do that, you're also going to need instructors to teach cadets who want to come to Starfleet Academy, who want to become part of the Federation, part of Starfleet. So that's where she came in because she came back. The Discovery crew comes from the 22nd, 23rd era, the
I
era
know.
of being hungry to go out there and explore.
Yes.
You
On a
know,
very
and
on
the
a
thing
very
is,
advanced ship.
and a very advanced ship. And then they come to a century where they were more protecting what they had because they was too terrified of another burn to happen. So they were staying close and unfortunately not being as responsive to the member worlds that were with them because they had 200 turned into 20. So now it started to rebuild again, rebuild the Federation from its foundations all over again. And so again, there are kids, young ones now that they see the Federation, they want to be part of Starfleet. They need a school. So that's why she's off now after this season. When her show starts, Starfleet Academy, that's when it will happen. And then another character by Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh is going to be heading, and it's a movie, not a series. But I was hoping a series, but they're getting it a movie. It was called Section 31. That's the not the CIA, but what we would call a black ops of the Federation. They deal in brand new types of different technology, but at the same time, their job is to keep the Federation secure. But it's going back to the era of the 22nd, 23rd century, because that's what she was when Michael Burnham left to the future. So they're taking it from that point, and that's going to be another series. I mean, of course, with the fact that Strange New Worlds has already been not only coming up and finishing season 3, but they already been picked up for season 4. So that show has the same magic as the original series Star Trek, where it was episodic. There wasn't like one particular thing that they followed. Like when you see the next episode that's coming up, they give you highlights of the past episode to give you an idea of what this episode is going to be. So it was just like the original series, episodic, not
I
one
hated
particular thing, but it's trailing.
I hated this cliffhanger.
Oh my God,
Oh
what?
my god.
I'm not a fan of cliffhangers. They drive me insane.
They
But
didn't even do a cliffhanger. They just went, okay, we're stopping. Like
yeah, he just did
like
the same thing he did in the first season. He just looked in the camera. and he had that
Yeah.
look on his face. It's like, what? Stop. No. And then
Yeah.
it just, oh,
The
I
look on
think
the
the
camera
last
that I
time,
got from him was like, sorry guys, but this is all they paid us for.
yeah. And it's like the last time something like that, a cliffhanger that drove me insane like that was, oh yeah, The Next Generation, the episode, The Best of Both Worlds, and where
Yeah,
Picard
that is
was
my
captured
favorite.
by the Borg.
Yes.
And then it ended that part one with Riker setting up the big weapon. He says, Worf, fire. And then boom, the credits come up. And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Oh.
There's three parts to that. There was the best of both worlds, and then the after that where he goes back home with his brother that
Yes.
we've always heard about, the nephew and everything. Oh, that was to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's those three episodes were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And every time he faced the Borg, it was always, that at first you could see his evolution from
I like
being
Hugh.
one of them
Yes.
and then having to recapture his humanity, especially with the episode Iborg, in which he met Hugh,
Yes.
and then he got to understand that as he was disconnected, he was learning, and then he became self-aware. And even the big hint at the end when they when they came back, they stayed hidden, they brought him down. The other drones came back. They came to collect him, and then he just like all of a sudden acted like Borg like. But as he was transporting, he looked towards Geordi, and I was like, oh shit, he's
Yeah.
sorry my French, but I'm like, oh my god, he still retained himself even though they still reconnected him. So yeah, that
Yeah.
was, and again his humanity, Picard, and his humanity, as he told like 7 of 9 in Picard, I think was it season 2 if I'm not mistaken. They looked at each other, and this is the first time that they know of each other, see each other. It says, it's like, how do you deal with humanity? And he goes, one day at a time. And that shows that whole struggle that even at his advanced age, he's still having to struggle with the whole invasion of his body, his mind, and the things that he did. Because I know in the third season, the final one, when they were trapped in a nebula in one of the episodes, the captain of that ship used to be an engineer, a grease monkey. And while they were hiding from an enemy, he was sitting in there and he was telling him, you ever remember how I met your old man? And then he recounted the Battle of Wharf 359, in which 40 starships, 10,000 lives were lost. And him, as he put it, he was the most dangerous of them all. They even gave him a name, Locutus, a Borg. He wasn't even a drone.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, and he stood there. I was surprised. Like the second time that ever happened is like when the first episode of Deep Space Nine, when Cisco first met him, because it was Locutus that caused the loss of his wife. He saved his son, but he was in the Battle of War 359,
Mm-hmm.
and how he had to handle that every time he met someone that was either a survivor of that battle or remembered that battle and all lost someone from there is just amazing. It's just amazing storytelling there, because yeah, it's not like he comes back, he's captain, everything's hunky dory with his crew maybe, but not with everybody else around him. And that's the beautiful part of that story.
Here's something I don't understand.
Shoot.
Picard
Mm-hmm.
is an android.
Now he's a synthetic.
Data, android.
Now a synth.
Okay, so that means technically they should survive and be around for DS9. I mean, for Discovery.
Okay, in the case of Data, yes. Picard, no. In the first season of Picard, he made it very clear that he didn't want to have immortality with his synth. So he wanted to have a normal life span, meaning that the synth could continue for God knows how long. But as far as he was concerned, he wanted to have a normal, span to the point of then him passing on, like literally passing on. I mean, could they bring the synth back? Yeah, it's not impossible to reanimate the synth and the programming is still in there. At least Picard's consciousness and it's still programming in the body. And pretty sure he'd be pissed off. Like, why you wake me? Leave me dead.
Right.
But unfortunately, as far as the storyline is concerned, yeah, it can happen. It's not like it can't. It can.
Yeah, Data should still be around.
Maybe unless, or if they, or if they say that he was around and then was accidentally destroyed in the burn. Because the burns, what happened was something resonated outward, so far outward that every starship that had a dilithium chamber, the dilithium in that chamber exploded. So like there was like, and it was a simultaneous effect, not something that started off. Well, they did show that it started off on one part, but in another sector, they had 3 or 4 starships at one time exploding instantaneously because their dilithium, whatever that resonance frequency hit it, boom, blew it up. So it's not like you even got a warning. Boom, done. You were gone. That's it. Incinerated.
Mm.
And that's how the Federation became devastated because at least 3/4 of their entire fleet of 200 ships gone. And they were left with like 30 or 40 ships that were further away from that resonance frequency that managed to survive. But that's it. That's what's left of the Federation. They didn't even have it wasn't until after Burnham figured out the burn and found a planet full of dilithium for them to continue mining again. That's when they started building, what do you call it, a space station, so that they can build more ships and start recrewing.
I always found it funny how, for example, in the Next Generation, whenever a planet or an explosion happened, they had that strip following the ship. You know, that like a strip, from the explosion.
Oh yeah, like a cosmic wave that
Right,
goes outward.
right. But it was always a strip. It was always a strip. Why couldn't they just go up or down and go around it? I mean, it's just a strip.
Well, in one they did that explosion which went upward and then outward.
Right,
But
but
the upward just like dissipated instantly, but the outward is the one that stretch across big time.
right, all
The
you had to do
undiscovered
was
country that happened.
yeah, all they had to do was go up or down, and
Mhm.
that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it. But no, they had to make one wave. It
yeah,
comes
yeah,
pouring right at you.
yeah.
That's space for you. You just don't
Yeah,
know until it happens.
yeah. Next on the
Oh,
news front,
okay. Oh yes, there you go.
there you
That's
go.
what I'm talking about. Cosmic explosion.
There you go.
Now, the next on the news front is I like to call, picks, and that is we were discussing at one time like horror comics and erotic comics, and you were going to discuss the one that you had written at one point.
Yes, I wrote an erotic graphic novel from a handicap's point of view, and it did very well in the selling part. I was surprised, and it all started. The questions were real. It was asked to me by a real person.
Okay,
Gonna name that person,
you
but
tell.
it was asked to me. Yeah, it was asked to me by a real person, and because it starts off with the questions, and the character answers them, and eventually they get down to it. But I don't kiss and tell, but I do write the hell out of it.
Was it like kind of like 9.5 weeks, but with with wheelchairs?
There you 9.5 wheels.
9.5 wheels. There you go.
Yeah, the original title I wanted to name it was Meals on Wheels, but that wasn't gonna happen. But
Oh.
yeah,
Meals on Wheels.
yeah, and
Okay.
it's called The Workout.
The
And
workout.
again, yeah, because it takes place in a community center workout gym area.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
How adventurous.
And it was written by me, illustrated by Angel Maria Martinez, the artist that I normally use,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very graphic, very, very, very interesting. It's called The Workout. If please look for that, I guarantee you'll be entertained to the hell of it. Yes, handicapped people, we do work. Um,
But it's true because, like you said, handicapped people do work, but it also, if I'm not mistaken, too, it's like everyone has feelings, and
Yes,
because you're handicapped, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're eliminated from those feelings, both physical as well as emotional.
yes.
So yeah,
And
it's not to say that you don't see someone and your
there you
mind
go.
doesn't go wah 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 wah. Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Yes. Yeah. Yes,
Hello.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
can see the work. I can see a workout happening.
yeah. And
Yes.
that's the cover I had to go with. The other one, she was topless.
She was topless.
Yeah, she was topless in the other one. Yeah.
I'm
I'll,
sorry. I had something in my eye.
I'll send you a digital copy, Mo.
Oh, reading cover to cover. On my end, I wanted to do the horror comics because you don't like horror in any way, shape, or form.
No, and horror comics to me, like it's like a Stephen King novel. It doesn't really scare me in terms of reading about it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really make me. Oh no, it's just to me a regular story. It doesn't give me. I don't know how people can get scared out of horror stories, regardless in general.
Well, I had the pleasure of checking out Boom Studios' cover or story called Grimm, and it's from Stephanie Phillips, the artist Flaviano, and Rico Renzi. And I'm gonna tell you, it. I had all sorts of different vibes from this. Okay, I mean, just to give you, just even to read you the synopsis, to give you an idea of what it is. I mean, this is the synopsis of the story. Jessica Harrow is dead, obviously, but her journey has only begun. Discovering the world of the afterlife, where Jessica has been recruited as a Reaper. So you don't have the main Green Reaper. You have people who have died who have been recruited to become Reapers. Because when you think about it, that how many souls are dying? So how can one be everywhere at once? So you're gonna have to have some help. So the people that have passed have been there are some that have been recruited to become reapers, and their job is, like I said, to collect the souls of the dead and then take them to their purgatory where they'll be heading up or down.
What's the name of this
That's
again?
huh?
What's the name of this book again? I'm interested.
Grim.
No, I'm interested.
Grim.
Okay.
Yep. Where as I said, the afterlife, where Jessica has been recruited as a reaper, tasked with ferrying countless souls to their final destination. But unlike the rest of the reapers, Jessica has no memory of what killed her and put her into this position. So that's your first mystery there. In order to unravel the mystery of her own demise, she will have to solve an even bigger mystery. Where is the actual Grim Reaper? So that opens up the door, and like I said, it has this action, and then you have your characters, some that are good, some that are not so good, that have their own personal agenda, and like I said, the action is there, so it kind of gives you, like, how can I put it, underworld vibes,
Okay.
you know, with the fact that Craven was in charge of the coven during the time that Marius was supposed to be sleeping and soon to be awakened, but he had plans of his own, and he was working with the Lycans to double cross everyone and be the big guy to take over everything. Well, no sooner different than this one. There is a double cross is about to happen, but not to give too much away, but it comes as a surprise as far as Haro is concerned, who her origin story, where it really comes from, and that's the part where it gets really interesting after that, because now when she figures out who she is, the next step is to stop the events that are unfolding. So, like I said, I've already finished this book one, and I am crazy waiting to get my hands on book two to see where it goes. Because I've never finished a graphic novel so fast ever. I mean, yes, I'm reading, and usually I take my time with this one, but this one was like page after page after page. There you go. That's her. Page after page after page. Before I knew it, I finished the first 5 episodes in less than an hour and a half. I was like, what? And I'm like,
Okay.
Oliver, please, Father, may I have some more? because I'm like, this is one of the few times I'm hungry for more. So give me more. I want more. So I can't
Based
wait for the next book to come out so I can check it out.
based on
It's
your
a
suggestion, I recently, that about half hour before we started the show, I downloaded Stray Dogs. Based
ooh.
on your decision, Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your telling of it. So I'm gonna get into it during the week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll give that review soon. I want to hear
Yes.
what your thoughts is on that one.
Yes. Definitely. Definitely. Just on what you told me, I was like, oh, this sounds awesome.
Yes, just a brief synopsis. Stray Dogs, has to do with a serial killer. Now, the dogs that are collected into his home, unfortunately, are the dogs of the families that he killed. Now, from the dog's perspective, they're realizing, or at least one of them is realizing, that their former owners were killed by this person. Now, the question is, what do they do to get justice? How do they alert the humans that this is what's been happening, this is what has happened? So that story moves along really good,
Mm.
but that we'll find out more, and you'll hear more come on the next show.
Oh
So
yes, I'm gonna read it.
oh yeah, it's a good read, I will say that much. It's a definite page turner because again, it's the perspective of the dog. So less humans, more dogs, and then it's like, wait, what are they going to do next? Trust me, you'll see what I mean. And with that, I will say to you guys, I'm Mo.
I'm Lou.
We're Nerdy Ricans, and we look forward to seeing you on our next show. Until then, yo, rock on.
Good night.
Let the hammer turn, baby. Let the hammer turn.
Have a good one, you Nerdaricans.
Good night, everyone.